Hey guys, I'm finally here. Sorry about that. Senator JG, thank you for the lurk. Good luck at work. I hope it is a good day, a good shift. Exiled Faye, hello. How are you? What is up? Lots of travel scenes in your mermaid story? My heart goes out to you. I read a lot of books when I was younger that had a lot of travel in them. And I never found them, like, particularly boring. Like, I know The Lord of the Rings is just, I don't know, 80% walking. And it's fine, but I have never really felt like I can write these kinds of scenes and have them feel, like, particularly exciting. It's kind of like, if you compare the early seasons of Game of Thrones to the later seasons of Game of Thrones, where the early seasons of Game of Thrones are kind of about the fact that it takes a long time to travel anywhere. It takes a long time for them to get from, where they live in the north to King's Landing, right? And the story is sort of about what happens while people are on the road. That is true, Exiled Faye. You won't see them because you're subbed. I just like to give people a heads up that during the pre-stream and during the breaks I do roll ads, mostly because I'm trying to prevent them from interrupting our conversations and prevent people from getting pre-rolls. Give one of them a hobby during travel, bird watching, flower picking. You could do that, GG. That's actually a really good idea. In Game of Thrones, the story is sort of about what happens during travel. The fact that it takes a while to get anywhere, and the fact that things can happen while people are on the way. My stories tend to be more about what happens at the places that people are going. So there are some instances, especially in the Celestial Serenade, where we're talking about light years of travel, even moving at faster than light speed, where people are in transit for several hours and things happen during that time. But in this story, in Everyone's Child, there's a lot of travel because they're walking everywhere, first of all. And second of all, I don't necessarily feel like the story is happening during the travel. I feel like the story is happening during the destinations, like at the destinations. But today, I do want to focus on some character building. So, Elaith and Jaelin are traveling together for the first time. They are new to each other. They don't really know each other very well. They kind of just broke out of jail together and are sort of just thrust together by circumstance. So I do think that I'll be using these scenes primarily as relationship building to establish the dynamic between the two of them, to let them sort of get a feel for each other. And I want to show that they don't always get along as well, that they are companions of circumstance and convenience rather than companions of, like, friendship. So I feel like that's what I'm mostly going to try to focus on with these scenes, is the character dynamic, getting these two a chance to interact with each other. I feel like Elaith is not a talky person and Jaelin is a talky person. And if you've ever been in a room with two people and one of them likes to talk a lot and one of them almost never talks, then you'll know what that's like. So yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of feeling each other out. And I kind of want to focus on how there are good things because I think the first scene is going to be from Elaith's perspective. So I want to kind of focus on how for her there are good things about the fact that she now has a traveling companion and bad things about the fact that she now has a traveling companion. I'm guessing Jaelin's constant nattering is going to be one of the negatives for her. But an extra set of hands to do the work would be a positive, right? So we'll see. Hang on, is my white noise? Okay, I thought I had my white noise working, but it's definitely not, so let's reload it. It's definitely being a butthole. I'm a little bit sniffly today. I apologize, guys, so let me blow my nose. Hey, Angel Faye, how are you? What is up? Just blowing my nose here quickly. Sorry, very exciting content. Oh my goodness, it's just been such a week. I've been, if you guys may be aware, I have been working on a cross stitch on my friend Flutterstream's. Hang on. I've been working on a cross stitch on my friend Flutterstream, so you can kind of see part of it's cut off because of the hoop. But I've been working on that on Fridays. AB Coffee, hello, how are you? I've been working on that on Flutter streams on Friday evenings. I also work on it in between. I haven't done all of that on stream. There's also, because there's another whole arm that you can't see, but I was working on it on Sunday, and I miscounted one of my stitches, which happens, but I didn't notice that I miscounted until after I tied off the thread, and the mistake was closer to the end of the thread than the beginning of the thread. So I tried to pull out from the back, but I hit a tangle, so I pulled out the whole thread just to redo one stitch. And as I was trying to, because I ripped one of the threads while I was undoing it, so I had to cut a new one, because it's 2 colors. And as I was trying to redo my stitches, I just created this massive knot. Like, I've never seen cross-stitch thread knot like that before. And usually, if you can get your needle in it and jiggle your needle around, you can loosen it up enough to get the thread out. It was like a multi-layer tangle. I spent like 40 minutes on it. Here, Woof, did you get to see the progress? Did you get to see the spaghetti arms? So I spent like 40 minutes trying to untangle that because I had already wasted a thread and I don't have much of these particular colors because they're only for Belle's dress. And I tried and I tried and I tried and finally the thread ripped. And that was like, so then I just had to cut it. I just had to cut the thread out. I was so devastated because I was like, what if I don't have enough of the color? I did end up having enough of the color because basically all of that color is on there now. I think I need like 4 stitches of it in another place. Belle is brave. It's gonna say brave at some point, but it does say brave right now. How's the writing? The writing's been going really well. Off camera, I have been nailing 1,000 words in my 20-minute timers, so I'm really hoping I can maintain that today. I'm a little bit nervous because I don't entirely know what I'm doing with today's scenes, but it's been going well. Your pre-tembering is... Oh, prep-tembering. I thought that said pre-tembering. I was like, what does that mean? Prep-tembering makes much more sense. How goes the prep, AB Coffee? Good morning, Halo Banshee. Well, I guess it's not morning where you are. Good time zone, Halo Banshee. Let's do a stretch. But yeah, so I did not have my finest cross-stitching moment on Sunday, and then yesterday, you might be able to see this, you might not. Yesterday I was working on it again, and my hoop snapped, so you might be able to see that tiny little glimmer right there. That's tape holding my cross-stitching hoop together because it snapped. Which happens. They're just made of bamboo wood. They're kind of flimsy. You can buy them like in really cheap 10 packs, which I didn't. And I have another one, but it's like this big compared to this big. So I went on Amazon last night and I ordered some plastic ones because apparently, according to the reviews, the plastic ones do not let the thread slide or don't let the canvas slide around as much. They hold it like really steady. So I'm looking forward to that. They probably won't be here until next week, but We'll see. So yeah, I've been rebitten by the crafting bug, which anyone who's been bitten by the crafting bug, you know, it gets real fierce. But then because all of my supplies are super old, because I haven't done it in a while, I just need replacements. But I'm going to try the plastic hoops and see if they're sturdier than the wooden ones. Angel Faye, how are things going for you? Been doing a research of magic for my urban fantasy novel. Nice! So you're building a magic system still, huh? It's 1839 for me, so definitely not morning. Yeah, I had a moment where I was like, Halo's on the other side of the ocean. Why are you saying good morning? But I've had like 3 sips of coffee, which reminds me it's hydration time. Began making my book cover. Nice! So yeah, that's been my last few days were pretty much just like every time I sat down to try and craft, the universe was like, no. But I've made progress. I've made good progress. I'm hoping, I don't know if I can, I've got so much stuff just out of arm's reach. I'm hoping to start this one on Friday, because this one's for Woof. So I'm hoping to finish Belle, by Friday and start this one on stream, because this one's bigger and it's gonna take me more time, which is why I'm glad I bought bigger hoops, and whatnot. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Love making book covers. I do not like making book covers because I feel like I'm really bad at it. But I like having book covers. I think that was the silliest thing I ever said. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's that weird transition between seasons where it's cool in the morning and it's warm in the afternoons. So like I might actually have to close all the windows and turn on the AC this afternoon, and I'm not looking forward to it. Fun times. I just want it to be hoodie weather. I just want it to be hoodie and hand sock weather. I just want it to be super cold in the house all day so that I can wear a house coat and comfortable socks. It probably sounds weird to be like, I want it to be cold so I can put on extra layers, but I like layers. I like to be sandwiched in all the stuff. And in the summer, I can't do my layers because it's too hot. Cozy, exactly. I want to be cozy again. But anyway, that's how my life has been since I last streamed. Today we're gonna do chapter 9 of Everyone's Child. So I'm only giving myself 5 weeks to write this novel, and we are on week 3. I'm on schedule according to my plan. So this week, hopefully tomorrow actually, we're gonna hit the halfway point of this book, which sounds insane to me because we just started it. But if we're aiming for 50K, we're already at 25. So we're probably gonna hit 50, 60K on this book by the end of the next 3 weeks, which is great. I am going to be taking a week off. So we're going to do this week and next week, and then I'm going to be taking a week off of writing the week of October 10th, which is Thanksgiving here in Canada. We actually have our Thanksgiving in October, which is convenient for NaNoWriMo because it means Thanksgiving does not fall in the last week of NaNoWriMo, which is great. So basically we're gonna write our hearts out for the next 2 weeks, and then probably that week of the 10th is when I'm gonna do the tipsy stream, where I will just grab a bottle of wine, and we'll make it an afternoon stream so that I'm not drinking first thing in the morning, and we'll just chitty chat, and I'll drink wine. And then the week after is hopefully when we're going to finish this. So, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but that's what's going to happen. And then after that, I'll be switching back to my Aruvalia Chronicles, which I'm going to be writing for NaNoWriMo. Really hardcore writing for NaNoWriMo, because I have calculated how many work slots I need to get all of my stuff done, and it's going to be a very tight year. But if we get a chance to edit this book this year, I will find a way to stream that. If I don't find a way to edit this book this year, then it'll be one of our first projects next year. Just to give you guys some idea of what's going on with me for the next little while. I don't have good notes for these scenes. I don't feel like I have good notes for these scenes. I think I'm gonna switch these, because I kind of have the next big event scene happening and then a travel scene, but we've established that where they're going is far away from where they are. So I feel like I'm gonna flip the script here, and I'm gonna have the travel scene happen first and spend a little bit of time with Aleith getting a feel for Jaelin, and then have a slightly smaller interlude once they've reached their destination. I do think I at least left good notes about where they're going. Right. And I think I said what kingdom it's in as well. Did I? I didn't. Cool. Oh no, I did say. It's on the border of a place called Novalon. Thank goodness. Okay. So, sorry, I just realized that my notes are not showing very well on the stream. I'm just peeking back at all of the world building that we did to... I've definitely, I think, underdeveloped this world. I might have to go back and develop a few more things for the edits. Which is why I might not have time to do full edits this year, but we'll see. I also kind of realized that I haven't really... I accounted for the major conflict for Aleith's plot and for Ciri's plot, but I didn't really allot any peril for Jaelin's plot, so I'm trying to keep that in mind, that at some point there should sort of be the threat of Aleith realizing that he's, like, tainted with the shadow being, because otherwise Jaelin doesn't really have much tension carrying him through the story. It'll be easier if I write that into the story instead of leaving it entirely for edits, so I'm trying to keep it sort of in the back of my head. So we last left them at the Place of Great Purpose, which I believe is called, like, Eilholm or something like that. There was a... Abora. I don't know why I got the other one from. Abora, it was a cathedral and it collapsed. And so I have to kind of get them from wherever that is to where they're going next. So shall we clicky clack, my friends, and see what we can do? See what we can get done. See what we can get up to in 20 minutes. Apparently I can't spell knowledge today. Hey, Marathon, how are you? My handwriting is shite today. Word can barely figure it out. Oh no, exiled Faye. My handwriting is shit every day. That's why. That's why I learned to type. I'm meandering a bit at this beginning of the scene. This is going to be one of these that's going to need cleanup later. Playing Lotro, like usual. Interesting. Took 3 tries to get it to understand I meant trim and not Tom or Tim or Thim. Oh no. Hey Kiki, how are you? The little one is sick since yesterday at school and I had to take him to the doctor. Oh no, that sucks. I hope he feels better soon. It's no good when the little ones are sick. Especially when they're too young to really understand. They just get miserable. He just took his meds and the cold is just running out of him now. Well, that's good to hear. I know with colds it's mostly just about treating the symptoms until they go away, which is the worst. Bird of Inferno, hello. How are you? What is up? Oh gosh, there's only 2 minutes left in the sprint already. Where did that 20 minutes go? Sorry. The timer's done. I'm all right working on beta reading a friend's book. That's awesome. I'm sure your friend appreciates that. I appreciate each and every one of my betas and all the feedback they give me, and I wish that I had more time to beta read for others. I'm doing pretty good. We talked a little bit about, I've been working on this cross stitch for a friend. Every Friday I do crafting streams over on Flutterdye's channel, but I do still work on the crafting in between. So we talked about my crafting trials and tribulations this morning. But aside from that, it's going pretty good. Let's see how many words we did in that sprint. There's a lot of rambling in this. I'm going to need to clean it up later. 1005. I'll take it. I'll take 1005 words that probably need to be reorganized. Since I'm kind of trying to find this scene and these characters, I'm sort of just letting whatever rambling information comes into my head onto the page, and then I'll fix it all later. This is why I say that my first drafts are kind of word vomit, is I just sort of do whatever feels good at the time, and I don't really worry about it too much. It's going well. Gotta go pretty fast because she wants it back at the end of the month, which I agreed, so it's not a problem. That's awesome of you, Bird of Inferno, that you're able to get it back to her that fast. Lovely rambling word vomit. I tend to do that a little extra during Nano too. Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a moment of panic when I hit the go button, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So there's definitely a little bit of me I'm just letting my character, we're writing from Elias' perspective here, I'm just kind of letting her stream of consciousness, her thoughts onto the page. What I usually do, because I'm basically info dumping right now, I'm basically just taking a huge chunk of information, tossing it onto the page, and just sort of throwing it at the reader. So what I usually do with that kind of stuff, I let that happen when I'm drafting. And honestly, if you're worried about info dumping during a first draft, don't be, because you're just telling yourself the story. You want to get as much information onto the page as you can, because you can change the order later. And that's what I do, is I'll go through this, I'll read through those initial paragraphs, and I'll break them down into smaller breadcrumbs of information, and I'll spread them throughout the action, which I'm writing a little bit of action now. I have I have one character sort of hiding in the trees while the other character goes shopping for them so that they don't get caught. And so I can break up those huge chunks of thoughts and turn them into little breadcrumbs and make it read more smoothly, so that it just seems like she's thinking as she's walking, or she's thinking as she's waiting, or whatever. So I try not to worry about that too much. Like, in the back of my head, I'm like, this is a disaster right now, but it's okay because I can fix it later. And that stuff is actually a lot easier to fix, I think, than people realize as well. Gotta just let it flow. Exactly, because then you can dissect it. Exactly. You get in your sandbox to make the castle later. Yeah, first you gotta get all the sand. Every little tiny grain. And really, if you've info dumped a bunch of stuff and you come back later and you're like, well, I don't need to say this because I put this earlier in the book, or this doesn't really make sense here, like, you can weed out the stuff that doesn't need to be there. I know, like, there's a conversation to be had about overwriting versus underwriting. And in all honesty, I do both. I tend to overwrite lore and information, and I tend to underwrite in description. So what ends up happening when I edit is I take out a bunch of that repeat information that just kind of got thrown in there as part of whatever, and I replace it with these really beautiful, intricate, not necessarily intricate, but more intricate, more detailed descriptions of the environs and like where my characters are or what they're looking at. And so I kind of take out as much as I put in during my edits. It's kind of like, it's not necessarily a one-to-one transfer, but it's kind of close. But that way I'm exchanging words that aren't doing anything for words that are doing something. I hear you and I agree with you, but then I also go, but it has to be perfect the first time. No, I hear you, and I get it, because it's really, really hard. Like, as I was writing probably about this much of, even more, probably about this much, so about half of what we wrote in this sprint, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is awful. What are you doing? This isn't doing anything for the story. This is not going to fly. This is the worst. And it's really, really hard to just take that part of your brain and like gag it and shove it in the corner. It takes a lot of practice. And honestly, I always ride that roller coaster. Like, within the same writing session, I can go from this is garbage to this is great to this is garbage. Sometimes you start in different places, but like, and I always just try to muscle with my rough drafts. I always just try to keep muscling forward. People always, because my Aravalia Chronicles, I'm writing a book 9, or no, I'm writing a book 10, which is insane to me. And people, like, when I talk about it, they're like, how have you gotten to a book 10? And it's like, because I put my head down and I write the words and I just don't let myself think. I come back to them later and I'm like, this is a train wreck and I gotta fix it, of course. But when I'm drafting, I'm just like, whatever, just put down some words. Just get the characters moving and I'll fix it later. My mother thinks I'm weird because I write about a vampire werewolf just fantasy world. I mean, I got that when I was younger too. But the thing is, Kiki, you'll find the people who are your kind of weird and you'll realize that there's no such thing as normal. and whatever, right? Like, whatever makes people happy. Just gotta silence that inner cringe. Exactly. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of, when I'm writing, my inner editor has to be gagged and blindfolded and shoved in a closet, which is like triple locked because she'll get out. And then when I'm editing, I have to have that really analytical, like super, just coldly logical, is this doing something for the story? Nope. All right, snip, snip. And like, then the part of you that's like the really passionate, joyous, just get it on the page one has to be bound and gagged and shoved in the closet, because otherwise they'll weep and be like, no, my precious sentence, that doesn't make any sense. I think writing has a lot of those weird juxtapositions, just a lot of these weird contradictions of, you have to be able to forget about the part of you that wants to make everything perfect, but then you have to forget about the part of you that wants everything to be whimsical and let that analytical person come out and do the thing. But then when you're done with that analytical person, you have to be able to put them, you know, behind you again. And so you have to kind of wear all these different hats, and at any given time, you're thinking about your story in different ways, right? And during the drafting stage, you're discovering the story, but during the editing stage, you are the sculptor who is fixing that form, right? You've got the rough, you're putting in the details, you're making it polished, and then you have to somehow go back to being this childlike, whimsical, whatever, it doesn't matter, honey badger. And it's hard. It's really hard. We are the wearers of many hats for sure. Exactly. Vampires, werewolves, and fantasy are so fun. I agree. 100%. I've always been into like fantasy and sci-fi since I was a kid. I now read like a lot of historical stuff and sometimes mystery and like that kind of thing. But my first and firmest love has always been sci-fi, fantasy, speculative fiction. Now I want to buy 2 different hats for editing versus draft. I mean, you know what? It might actually be helpful. I've never tried it, but it might actually be helpful to be like, I am wearing this hat today. Today's writer brain is not editor brain. And then when you have to edit, you're like, okay. I almost feel like I should wear my glasses when I edit. Because, like, I'll give you guys a freebie of the glasses wearing. Oh, gosh! I dropped them. But, like, look. Does this not look like editor Megan? Does this not look like, okay, I'm editing now? Like, this is editor me, and then this is writer me. Spirit Halloween is around right now in my area. I'm sure they have lots of fun hats. I need to get over to the Spirit Halloween because I haven't gone. But yeah, just like, I don't know, maybe it would help to have like, here's my writing outfit and here's my editing outfit, because there's definitely a switch. Like, I've even heard, I've read tons of things like that other writers have put together, but one of the most interesting ones to me was that someone once suggested writing in the morning and editing in the afternoon, because if you write when you're slightly tired, and I mean, this would change based on people's schedules, right? So like, if you work all day and you come home in the evening and you're slightly tired, the advice was write when you're slightly tired, because it's easier to like turn off that analytical part of your brain and just get out of the way and write words if you're slightly tired, because you're not thinking as hard. But then when you're editing, you want to be fully awake, fully aware, because you want to be analytical. You want to engage that more logical, reasoning, active portion of your brain. I found that very interesting. I have writing days and editing days, so I've had to learn to wake up and edit in the morning. But it was very interesting suggestion, I think. And I think it's important to like try different things at different times of day and just find like what works best for you. I think I do that automatically. I tend to write later at night and edit during the day. Exactly. And you can learn to get out of your own way. Like, I noticed last week I wasn't feeling well. And so in some regards, it was almost easier to get out of my own way, because I needed to get the work done quickly so I could go rest, right? Because I didn't know how long like I was gonna feel okay. And actually, after last Wednesday's stream, I instantly went and laid down on the couch. Like, Ghost came home from work and I was like, I just finished my stream. I'm starting to feel really crappy. Would you mind cooking tonight? And he was like, no, I'm fine. Like, go to the couch. And I spent all Wednesday night vegging on the couch watching Disney Plus, and I spent most of Thursday vegging on the couch watching Disney Plus. The other half of Thursday that I wasn't vegging on the couch was in bed, right? So sometimes when you're not feeling well, and you know you just kind of need to get it done, it's really easy to sort of slide into almost panic mode, right? And just do it. And so this week, I'm definitely feeling much better, but I've kind of caught that groove. So I'm sort of pushing myself to just sort of hit the zone. Just talking is exhausting. I don't know how teachers do it. Honestly, the stories my husband tells me, it's not always the kids that are exhausting either. It's the parents. And just, I can't repeat any of the stories because, like, real people, it's like, you know, confidentiality sort of thing. But just some of the stories that I hear from Ghost about, like, interactions with parents, and it's like, it's the worst. I could not be a teacher. I couldn't. I would get fired on the same day I was hired. I used to have dreams. Like, I had a dream one time that the company policy was that if a teacher was sick, their spouse had to cover their classes, which obviously would never work in the real world for various reasons. But in the dream, I had to cover a class for him because he was sick, and it was a test day, and the kids just would not listen to me. I tried to get them to put away their phones. They wouldn't put away their phones. They wouldn't stop talking. They wouldn't obey the time limit. And I was just like, in the dream, I was just losing it. And I told Ghost about it the next day, and he was like, so let me get this straight. You had a nightmare about doing my job. And I was like, pretty much. Like, there's so much more that goes into it than just getting up in front of a class and talking too. Like, there's so much that goes into trying to keep a kid's attention and trying to keep them engaged with the subject matter and not going off on tangents. Because I remember when I was in high school, we always tried to get our teachers to go off on tangents so we wouldn't have to do the actual lesson. That's a thing that kids still do. So, yeah, nothing but respect for teachers because I'm fully aware that I would cuss a parent out on the first day and get fired. Not even a kid. I would cuss out a parent and they would be like, well, you're done. And I would be like, yep, bye, bitches. Oh my goodness. I'm going to take a quick break. I know it's a little early because I started late in stream, but I need to refresh my coffee and I'm just going to run some ads quick. So I apologize. Anyone who's not subbed might see a couple quick ads, but this way they hopefully won't interrupt our conversations. And we'll come back and we'll do another sprint and see if I'm thinking that the first scene is going to be a little longer than the second scene, so this might take 2 more sprints to finish, but we'll see if we can get closer to wrapping it up. And I'll be right back in like 2 minutes. Whoops, that's the big one. Hello, I'm back. Bird of Inferno, I'll be lurking. Have some errands to run. Remembered I need to get to them. No problem. Good luck on your errands. Thank you for dropping by. Super appreciate. Sorry if I missed you. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Timer started without me. Hopefully you can't hear the boys downstairs being really loud, but I can. I'm back. Sorry about that. My coffee had gotten cold, so I can't do cold coffee. Now I've drunk down enough that my warmer, my little hot plate here will be able to take care of it, but I think because my mug is so tall, if it's all the way full, it warms like the bottom and not the top. And I used to bring a spoon in and just stir it a lot, but I'm lazy. So now I just reheat my coffee until it can handle it. Okay, so yeah, this is very much a... I was worried about this chapter. I was saying before that I felt like a lot of this was a disaster. I was worried about this chapter specifically because it's transitioning from... My characters are basically in one spot and they need to get to another, and there's really nothing to do about the fact that it's going to take them a while to get there because they're walking. And I want this to be a big continent. They are walking between kingdoms. So, there's going to be a lot of time. And I don't want to spend chapters and chapters of them walking because it's not what the story is really about. So I'm trying to sort of condense it into something that feels like time is passing and is allowing the characters to get a feel for each other and is interesting, but is also conveying sort of this monotonous passage without it feeling monotonous. This scene is probably going to need a lot of work later. These are always the scenes that I dread writing the most and that I struggle with the most. But usually if I go away and come back, I can then pick up like what the interesting threads were that I sort of puked onto the page, and I can sort of enhance them. So let's see. Let's see where I stopped. Let's see what we can do in 20 more minutes of clicky clacking. It reminds me that I need to set up a custom dictionary. We'll do that during the next break. We'll set up a custom dictionary for this. I gave this place a name. Novalon. to. I need to learn to spell all of my own words. Oh my gosh. Again, where did the last 15 minutes go? Uh-oh. Did my camera just freeze? Oh no! Oh no! That work? No! Okay, hang on. Let me finish this sprint and then I'll fix my camera. Oh no! I can try just plugging it back in, maybe. Maybe. Did that work? Did that work? I did it! Oh my goodness. It took 2 off and on again. I'm back. I'm back, baby. Sitting here just writing on my legal pad? Nice! I hope the words are going well for you, Kiki. Whoops. My goodness, I can't I can't believe these writing sprints are going by so quickly today. I feel like I start them and then the next time I glance over, they're almost finished. Which I guess is a good sign that I'm getting into the zone, but dang. So let's see. Where did we start? I think we started there. So that was 1,187. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not sure. Again, this is gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of there's gonna be a lot of fixing of this scene later on, I think. Did I move my am I just leaning or did I move my camera? Sorry about the whole camera thing as well. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I think what I need to do is figure out how to transition to the ending. I feel like I've shown the characters interacting a bit. I feel like Aleith is a really closed person, so I feel like her letting in Jaelin even just a tiny bit is her opening up to him. So now I kind of feel like I need to get to the end of this scene so that it doesn't go on for too long. Which is a little bit of a problem because I feel like there's still a lot of time to pass. So probably what I'm gonna do in the next sprint is just info dump a little bit more information, possibly about the area that they're in, and sort of transition them from one space to another. And I'm probably gonna end this scene with them figuring out how to climb a cliff. I kind of like the banter back and forth between these two because Aleith and Jaelin have very opposing personalities. Aleith is very quiet, contemplative. She's very stubborn and set in her ways, and she isn't really open to change or friendship or changing her mind. Whereas Jaelin is very lighthearted. He's very go with the flow. He is possibly always changing in some form or another. Really used to just adapting on the fly, being able to fit in with other people, and being very friendly and trying to get people to open up to him. So it's really interesting because it's kind of like a wave constantly beating against a stone wall in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's and I kind of like that they get along in some ways, but they haven't like instantly taken to each other. Because I like to write developing relationships, and usually how long a relationship takes to develop depends on where you start. So when I wrote Aravalia Chronicles, a lot of the characters in those novels had established relationships prior to the books where the book started. So a lot of the people who end up moving through that story are not people that the main characters met. I mean, there's a couple new people, but many of the people that are sort of in long-term interactions in that story are people that had a prior established relationship. And so having like a romance or having a bromance that sort of lasts long-term between two characters, you can get into that sort of thing more quickly if part of it is established prior to the start of the novel. It was the same when I wrote my my first book, Island of Lost Forevers, because the two main characters who eventually end up being romantic interests for each other were already on very friendly terms and sort of interested in each other prior to the novel starting, and that was important for how small a frame of time passed in that novel. But in this novel, because we have a lot more passage of time and we have a lot of people who haven't met, the friendship is starting out very cool. And so there has to be a lot of time for, especially for Aleith, who's very slow to take to anybody, to sort of open up to this idea of a relationship of any kind. So it's very interesting because I haven't written this kind of relationship in a while. I've been doing a lot of already established friendships and that sort of thing. So two characters who are diametrically opposed to each other and are sort of forced to be together by circumstance throughout the story is something. It's refreshing because it's something I haven't written in a long time. So sorry again, spiel. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Haven't yogaed yet today. Oh my goodness. Probably gonna start another sprint here shortly just because I want to force my brain to make this transition. And one of the things that I also have kind of realized is that we talked a lot about how the magic system works, and I wrote a lot of notes about how the magic system works, but I haven't put a lot of that into the actual book yet. You don't see a lot of how the magic actually works, and there's been talk of sources, and there's been talk of the fact that Aleith may not entirely need sources. But we haven't really expanded on how magic works. So in the second scene, when we get into there, I want to spend a little bit of time for the sake of the reader addressing how sources work. So I'm excited to write that. Sorry guys, I don't know. I never know. Never know if I'm just rambling. So you guys can totally be like, just shut up and write. Do the stuff and the things. Oh my goodness. Ghost contacted me. We vibing? Nice. Rambling helps sometimes? Good to know. I know it helps me. Like, I usually talk to myself off stream as well. But it's nice to know what people find helpful. Ghost contacted me this morning to let me know. I haven't like contacted him back. I guess maybe I should, but he knows that he's going to be able to. But there's a distillery in town here that makes a really good whiskey that it's hard to buy. Like, you have to win a lottery to be able to be assured to getting some. And he's able to purchase. So I should probably let him know. There we go. Quick email to the hubs to let him know that he can go ahead and order his his laird and possibly his laird defintry and possibly his cask strength laird defintry for his stock. Okay. Let's see how much of that rambling I can translate into words, though. That's always the tricky thing, is sometimes you can say it out loud, but you've got to get it onto the page. Also, I think I indicated... did I indicate that this was on a border with another kingdom? Oh yeah, I said we would make a custom dictionary. We'll do that in a sec. Mosconia. Okay. So let's do this. So if you guys have never created a custom dictionary, this is how you do it. You go into Word options and you go to proofing and you want to go to this dictionary, this custom dictionaries button here. And you'll notice that I already have custom dictionaries for several of my projects. I have the Dreamers Do Lie one turned off because I'm not working on that project anymore. And what we're going to do is we're going to do new dictionary, and we're going to name it. We're going to name it Every Child. I'm not sure why one of them went into all languages and one of them went into English, but that's fine. And we're going to edit word list, and we're just going to basically take all of these. So I'm just going to write down everyone's names. Just so you guys can see here, I'm just making the names. And what you want to also do is you want to put the possessive in there as well. Just so it knows them. And then we'll do T-A-T-R-A. Okay, and then we're gonna get some of the place names in. And I need to go. I need to go in here. Bora. And then also we gave all of these, I should probably actually separate, and then I gave all of these mages names. We're gonna put all of those in there too. And then if I ever spell one of these wrong, Word will automatically correct it for me with a single right click. It is a legendary name notepad. I'm basically just gonna copy all of this into our word list in a second here. So we're gonna take this. Now, hopefully it will let me add them all at once. It doesn't look like it will. Hang on. Add. So what I can actually do is, hang on. Okay, she's, hang So I can actually go here. So I just go File Explorer. So I think what I can actually just do is take everything here and put it here and hit File Save. And then if we go back here and we go to Word Options, Proofing, Custom Dictionary. There, we can see all of the words in there, now in alphabetical order. And if we hit OK, you notice that all of the red lines, the squiggly red lines under Aleith and Jalen, and all those names have vanished. And so now we can see where I have misspelled Jalen's name. And if I just right click on it, I can correct it in one click. I don't have to constantly go back and make sure that I'm spelling my characters' names correctly. This is really, really useful if you're writing like a sci-fi or a fantasy novel, because you're gonna make up a ton of place names. And here again, I've misspelled Jalen's. So we can just right click and fix it. One click fix, two click fix. Instead of having to hit that backspace key. Super, that should be farmland. Not famland. Yeah, and so I'll probably go back and add halfling in there at some point. It's much easier to see my actual mistakes now because we don't have a sea of red in here. So very helpful tool for writers. I do these for all of my sorry, just checking my mistakes here. But there you go. Very easy, helpful thing for writers. And if we go back and look at my other custom dictionaries, like you can see, this is my one for Aravalia, which has quite a few names in there. And eventually, sometimes I usually have to go back in and add last names as possessives as well. The only thing that's kind of annoying is that you do have to add the possessive. If you add the word but don't add the possessive, it will often cause you issues. So there we go. Apparently I added subdermal as a word to this. I'm not sure why that's in there, but there you go. This is mostly just names. These are mostly all just names. So, and then I also have, if you use something a lot that's like a term that Word doesn't know, you can add it to your custom dictionary. So there we go. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And now I don't have to worry about misspelling names. How are you feeling from last week? You probably debriefed already, missed the first part of stream. No worries. I'm feeling much better. Thank you for asking. I was very under the weather last week. It wasn't sickness. It was 100% body stuff. I get some really gnarly cramps once a month. You can probably guess why. And it just came on me. It was actually coming on me when I was doing my Wednesday stream, and in retrospect, I'm not sure if I should have streamed that afternoon, but I did, and I had a good time, and I loved it. But I am feeling much better. I'm feeling far more capable and sort of, I don't want to say like awake, but like there was definitely, you know, some fatigue, some brain fog, some not feeling the greatest last week to work through, to push through. And this week I just feel great. I feel like I'm not really fighting to do the stuff. I'm fighting the usual writing stuff, but not like the extra. So thank you for asking. I'm doing much better. And I do promise that if I ever do just start to feel like really bad in the middle of a stream to the point where I don't feel like I can carry on, that I will be honest and go and lay down. I definitely cut it close last Wednesday because like within an hour of finishing stream, my body was just done. Not because I streamed, just it would have happened regardless. But I definitely promise that if I'm ever sitting here and I just get to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore, then I'll let you guys know that I have to go lay down. But I'm doing good now. I'm doing great. So, it's like night and day sometimes. Like, and I think last week was very much my brain was with it and like on top of things. And Amy Coffee, thank you so much. 8 months. How? Thank you so much for the troubles. Then thank you so much for using your Prime here. You could use that anywhere and you chose to use it here, so I appreciate that. September, so no quest necessary. Oh, thank you. I mean, we could say that the quest was taking care of myself, which I did do. But thank you. I appreciate that. And I just appreciate that you come and hang out at so many of these streams. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. Waiting. Stream delay. How long are we waiting? I did not get a chance to read the visual novel presentation yet because I was sick last week. So the weekend was mostly catching up from all the things that I missed while I was resting and getting drunk and playing golf with your friends. I may have gotten kind of drunk and played golf with your friends on Saturday night. But I will take a look at that presentation. It is on the list of things to do. And I appreciate you posting it where other people can take a look at it as well, because I do know some other friends who are... in fact, I was informed last night that 4NaNoWriMo, or maybe it was Saturday that they told me, 4NaNoWriMo, my good friend Joe Chilson, J Chili, let me see if I can spell his name right and give a shout out. J Chili... I think that's him. Yes, I did it. My good friend Jay Chili is going to be actually starting a script for the Beardy Bunch visual novel. Con202, thank you so much for the raid. Hello. How are you? Let me give you a shout out. How did your stream go this morning? How was writing? My good friend Jay Chili is going to be starting the script for the Beardy Bunch visual novel 4NaNoWriMo, so I know for a fact that he is going to want to take a look at that visual novel presentation because he has committed to writing a script for one. So, definitely going to be helpful to more than just me. So there's been a lot of banter back and forth about whether the Beardy Bunch boys were actually going to put together a... I think it's supposed to be a dating sim. I think it's supposed to be a dating sim game. So apparently, yeah, he's starting the script. And I'm super excited about that. My NaNoWriMo project is going to be much less lighthearted than that, so... Oh my gosh. Raiders, let us know how you're doing this morning and what you're up to. We're probably going to do another sprint. I was going to start it about 10 minutes ago, but I was showing everyone how to do a custom dictionary. So if you guys who just came in want to know how to do a custom dictionary in Word, let me know and I can re-show at the break. I don't know why my eyes are watering today. I think it's that weird in-between season things where the pressure is all over the place. We have done 2 sprints so far today, so we're about a little over 2,000 words into our scenes today. I'm hopefully going to finish up this scene and start the next scene. During this sprint, so let's see how it goes. I hopefully am not starting. I feel like I'm starting to get hiccups, and if I get the hiccups, I'm gonna have to actually take a break and go in the kitchen and chug some water, because it's the only way that I know to get rid of hiccups. Doing well, considering taking part in NaNoWriMo to tip my toe into novels. One question: what is the best software for novel writing? Hang on, let me abort the timer here just for a second. I do all of my novel writing in Word. Lots of people don't like Word because it's not specifically designed for novel writing. But I've never had a problem with it once you learn how to use styles and how they can work for you. Ghosty Gale, hello! Lots of folks say Scrivener. That was the other thing I was going to say, is lots of novel writers do like Scrivener, and I believe that if you do win for NaNoWriMo, you can get a coupon for a certain percentage off Scrivener. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I always say it wrong. To purchase as well. I've not used it, but I know a lot of people swear by it. I've also had recommended to me, I've not really figured it out for myself. I tried a few times and I have gotten nowhere with it, but people have recommended NovelPad. You do have to pay for NovelPad. It's a subscription service, but it is designed specifically for writers. It has like a search function that lets you search your like character names or by place names and put in your schedule and all that kind of stuff. Scrivener has a 30-day free trial, and it's 30 days of use. So if you use it once a month, it lasts 30 months. That is good to know, Ghosty Gale. Thank you so much. I did not realize that. I would have assumed it was 30 consecutive days, which is how most trials work. Also, Blitters, hello. How are you? It's not about the software, it's about the word. It really comes down to personal preference. I also know people who use Google Docs to write their novels and swear by it. So it really comes down to what suits your personal habits and what's easy for you. I recommend giving a couple different things a try and picking the thing that just works the best for you. That's a good motivation to not open the software and not write anything. I mean, it allows you to fit the trial to your schedule, right? But yeah, I just use Word. I'm using a super old version of Word 2. I'm using Word 2007, not even Word 2010. But I just know where all the buttons are and I know how it works. I actually just put together for my blog, I won't go for a little while, but I put together for my blog a style guide of how to format your ebooks using Word. Which can also be used for OpenOffice. You could also try, if you don't want to pay for a service, any kind of anything to write on. Google Docs is free, and also OpenOffice, which I believe is called something different now. There's a couple different versions of it now, I think, but I also have in the past used OpenOffice. Everything that works in Microsoft Word will also work in Microsoft Office or OpenOffice. But the buttons may be in slightly different places. LibreOffice, yes, also open source. I love open source programs. I use Word because way back in 2007 when I was a student, I got an enterprise version of Word, a student enterprise version of Word, and my license has never expired. So I'm able to use it for free to me. And it's never caused me any problems, but definitely check out OpenOffice and LibreOffice. Open source programs are great. They are developed by the community and maintained by the community, and they are always free. And like I said, everything that works in Office and Microsoft Office will work in OpenOffice. The buttons might just be in a different place. You just have to look around for them a little bit. I use Obsidian, not really a writing tool, more for note-taking, but it helps me a lot in day-to-day. I've heard of that! I wasn't able to figure out Obsidian, but we have a friend, Bo the Distance, in our Discord who posted about it and was very fascinated by it. I would like to give Obsidian another try for like novel brainstorming, because I've heard that it's very good. I just couldn't get the hang of it when I tried it before. 03 was the goated version, so clean. I live my life out of notation, but I'm not sure if I want to write a novel in it. Yeah, I wrote my first couple novels in open office, and I switched to this when I was able to get the student license. But it really just comes down to, like I said, personal habits, like whatever works for you. And every writer is different. I know where everything is in Word, and I have learned how to get around all the weird things that it does. So it's really quick, simple, and easy for me to maintain my writing in Word. But other people like different things. My first creative fiction was done in WordPad. Yep. If you want something very bare bones, WordPad for sure. I gave up notation for Obsidian because of the stupid formatting and notation. That's the thing too. I'm very particular. I do all of my note taking and planning in OpenOffice, in OneNote. Sorry, in the OneNote, an old ass version of OneNote as well. But I really like the way that OneNote looks and feels for note taking. So it's what I use, but it's probably not the easiest. So yeah, check out any or all of those tools and find the one that works for you. And thank you everyone for contributing to the conversation, because you guys all use way different programs than I do, and I appreciate you guys adding to the knowledge of options. And this is what I love so much about the writing community on Twitch as well, is that everyone is always happy to offer advice or say, hey, I use this, here's how you can check it out. Because then I get to learn stuff too. Cheers, Con202. Thanks again for the raid. We're gonna start the writing timer and do writing this time. All right, so let's clicky clack. The grinnery. To my to my custom dictionary. Janine, how are you? Haven't seen you in a little while. How goes the reading? Whoops. Ooh, thank you for the posture check, Exiled Fae. I am slouching. going to leave that scene there. So that puts our first scene at 2,955. So we're just shy of 3,000, which is perfect. That was right around where I expected that to be. So I'm going to go ahead and see if, I know we only have 6 minutes left in the sprint, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get a good solid start to this next scene, because I think it will be shorter, and we might actually be able to finish it in the next sprint. Maybe. Maybe. Look at my notes again, because I made notes about the different schools of magic. Crystals or stained glass, anything which can be used to reflect light. Mustang Aspen, thank you so much for the resub. 3 months, my goodness. How are you? I thought you were playing Dead by Daylight. Did you finish your stream? I know you're not reading, but let me give you a shout out anyway. Shout out to a fellow writer. How did your games go? And I believe my health said to stop early. Well, I'm glad you listened to your health, Mustang. Things were okay? Good to hear. Good to hear. Always important to obey your health. If it says it's time to rest, it's time to rest. We talked about that quite a bit before you showed up. Because I promised that if I ever felt like I needed to stop early a stream, I would definitely do it. you why. Dang, this autobiography is looking sick. Your autobiography or mine? Because this is definitely not my autobiography. I wish, but no. I can't write for shit. I mean, why? I'm sure you could if you tried. It takes practice, but thank you. Man, if this is my autobiography, I've done some pretty epic things. Ooh, it's break time. Let's see. We only got 274 words into the new sprint, but we started there, so that is 1,042 words in that sprint, which will put us over the 3,000 for 3 sprints. I'm pretty happy about that. 3,234. Awesome, awesome. At this point, I'm probably going to take another quick break because it's been a while since we did, and I need a quick bio break. But we're going to do at least one more sprint. Hopefully I can wrap this up in one more sprint. We shall see. I did write a paper in college on how to flunk and made it sound like an advertisement. Interesting. What class was that for? Ghost Pepper once wrote a essay defending anarchy as a valid form of government and won an award for it. He doesn't talk about that, because I think he's embarrassed that he won an award for an essay that he wrote. But he's really good at that kind of stuff, in case you didn't know. Written comp. Interesting. Interesting. I went to school for IT and technology, so I went for networking. Like, I basically learned how the internet works and how, like, web software and all that kind of stuff, like web coding and all that stuff works. And we often had to write lab reports and write, like, instruction manuals and stuff for how to do things. And in case you didn't know, people who are really into technology usually don't know how to write. Like, they know, but they hate doing it, and they hate trying to do written communication of any kind. So I always ended up being the person who wrote all of the reports for all of our labs. So, like, literally I had to do a class where we were given scenarios for, like, workplace setups, and I ended up working with these 2 guys who were great guys and, like, really knew what they were doing. But I was like, what do you want me to do for, like, the setup? And they were like, nothing. We want you to do all the writing. We will give you the processes. We will tell you exactly how everything works. And we just want you to do the writing. And I was like, are you guys sure? Because, like, I'm sitting out on a significant portion of this work. And they were like, we don't want to have to write a single word. So they would go off and they would do all of the lab setup and basically write down all their settings. And then we would meet and they would show me, like, how everything worked. And I would write it all down. And I did all the lab reports and instruction manuals. And we aced the class. Like, but they were just like, they were like, you know how to write and we don't want to. And I was like, okay, you guys are, like, making this super easy for me. I'm trying to let my character into her new place. Ooh, is she moving into like a new apartment or buying a new house? I'm gonna take that break. I gotta use the ladies' room. And I'll be back. Don't mind if there are a few ads while I'm gone. I haven't run ads in a while, so they will probably play. But I will be back soon. I'm back. Oh my goodness. And I had some really good ideas while I was AFK, which, you know, if you're ever not sure what to do with your story, just get up and walk away. Because as soon as you're not in easy typing distance, or like if you're writing by hand, just leave your notebook somewhere and like go to the opposite end of the house. Because then your brain will be like, here are ideas, while you're not in easy range to write them all down. And that always seems to be the way of things. Okay. So. Exiled Fae, yep. Exactly. My brain would go food. My brain does that too, but then it's like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of other stuff. The writing is going well, Mustang. I really, really wasn't sure what to do with these scenes. And even now, there's a part of me in the back of my head that's going, this is a disaster. What are you doing? But I do think it's going well. I do think I'm getting enough information in there to polish this all up later and make it good. It doesn't have to be good right now. It just has to exist right now. Especially because I'm very much in a transition phase where we're going from one place and one part of the story to another place and another part of the story. So we're quite literally transitioning from our introductory arc to our main arc. And so these are always hard scenes for me to write, but I do think I'm getting enough interesting information in there to make it work later. And I've very much sort of learned to, this isn't something that I think you sit down and do right away as a writer. I think this is something learned. But I've definitely learned how to create a foundation for work later. So I know that I don't necessarily, I mean, yes, there's a part of me in the back of my mind that's panicking because this isn't polished and it probably reads like a nightmare train wreck right now. But the other part of me is like, you can use this. And so I've sort of learned how to create something I can use later, if that makes sense. I would not recommend reading this right now. But someday, it's got the makings of a good story. All right, it is 1 o'clock already, so let's turn on the sprint timer one more time and see if I can get this finished, because I'm gonna need to eat soon. Why being like, food reminds me that I'm gonna need some soon. Whoops, that's the editing timer. We don't want that one. We want the 20-minute timer. It does sound like I'm assaulting my keyboard. This is why I was telling Comf that she seems to have such light touch on her keyboard. I feel like I just murder mine, although, like, not intentionally. Hey, Ghosty Gale, back with a big bowl of chili. Nice. Chili is one of the favorite meals in this house. Enjoy. Hey, Supernatural, how are you? What is up? How is writing going for you, Supernatural, and for everybody else who might be working on it? And if you're just chilling or working, how is chilling or working going? call me Butter. I'm on a roll today. Exiled Fate, that's great. No writing since I created that Jersey Devil lore, unfortunately. I mean, if you're taking a brain break, Mustang, that's totally cool. We all need those from time to time. I hope you're not still too worried about your stuff, because, I mean, it's your stuff. Do what feels right. And trust your instincts. I'm going to assume that OIM is not OIM trusting my instincts. All right, that is the end of the timer. I might either just quickly finish this or do another half sprint, but let's see how many words that was. Where did I stop? I think it was there that we started. 1,174. Nice. That brings this scene to 1,448. I don't know why I said that so weird. And our total for the whole stream. I'm so close to the end of this one, I think. The characters are having a bonding moment. So we're at 4,410. And I do think I only need between maybe like 300 and 600 more words to wrap this up. It depends. I definitely know where I want it to end. I do think I still need to get more information about how magic works into these scenes, but that will be a problem for editing me. Never not worry. I mean, I always worry too, honestly, but I kind of just push, like we talked about earlier, I just push that part of me into a closet and ignore it while I'm writing. Got ice cream, even though it's 53 degrees out. Hey, ice cream all year round. Enjoy. What type of ice cream is it? Why? Is it illegal to start Nano early because I'm ready to go? Actually, they have, they've officially embraced the idea of Nano Rebel now. And if you start the project and just want to continue it through November, I don't think you can count the words until the start of November, but you can just continue the same project. I'm doing that. I have started writing my Nano project already. It is my my fourth Aravalia Chronicles trilogy, the next 3 books in that series. And I've already started, and I'm like 20K in. And I will still be working on it come November, so that will be my Nano project. I think it's perfectly acceptable to do that. You just mark yourself as a nano rebel with the badges. And it's perfectly fine. I'm thinking of keeping myself busy with a novella this October, but I don't have a solid idea for it. Ooh. Let a couple of ideas percolate and see what comes to you. Never start when you feel like it? Supernatural, what kind of advice is that? You should definitely start when you feel like it. Unless you have, like, a queue, like I do. I have a queue of ideas. I'm torn with this scene because I really like how it's going, but it's not what I expected it to be. So I'm torn between trying to make it do what I thought it should do and just letting it do what it's gonna do. And of course, I'm just gonna let it do what it's gonna do. But I'm gonna worry about it. And then months from now, I'm gonna open this up and read it again and be like, why was I worried? I think they meant never start when you feel like it. I think they meant never, start when you feel like it. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. Okay, so let me just... I always feel like it's weird when I'm just sitting here staring at the screen thinking. But let me think about this, because my characters are definitely having an unanticipated moment. And this is why I just kind of let my stories do whatever they want to do, because there's definitely a moment happening here. And this is perfect, because we're basically at the turning point. So this is a very well-timed moment. I have to figure out how I want this conversation to end, because I feel like I'm very, very close to the end of this, but I need the right couple lines of dialogue. The only whisper of a plot bunny I have is I'd like to write about a kitchen witch. That sounds amazing. I love that idea. I love that in recent recent years, months, I'm seeing a lot of suggestions of like different types of witchy like magic. And I really love it when someone takes like a practical thing like gardening or cooking or like whatever and turns it into like a witchy thing, because to me it just speaks to like how there can be magic in the mundane, and what we sometimes see as just the day-to-day blah can actually be made magical if you think about it in the right way. Sorry, I know I totally just went on a tangent and waxed about that, but I just think it's such a good idea. I'm thinking maybe she gets a new neighbor out in the woods that's a retired adventurer that doesn't know how to cook, and they fall in love baking bread. Oh my gosh, Ghosty Gale, I love that. Please continue your tangent. No, I just, I think that we get this idea sometimes that fantasy stories have to be vast and sweeping. And yeah, I write a lot of, sweeping epics that are about saving the world or the kingdom or the princess or whatever. The princess saving herself from, the evil, but to get back to her people. But, sometimes fantasy is just finding the magic in your day-to-day, finding, that connection between two people bonding over something in their world that one of them has experience with and one of them doesn't. Like, at the end of the day, every story is a personal story. And so you don't always need dragons and dungeons and evil sorcerers. Sometimes you just need to look around you and say, but what if there was magic in this task? And it can just be this whole big thing. That's my spiel. So I love those ideas. And if you're ever like looking at an idea and just thinking it's too small, it'll be boring. It's not too small. Because even in a sweeping epic, you need to have a personal story. Hey, Anne, how are you? What is up? Hey, Janine, how's it going? So yeah, like never be like, is this boring because it's small? No. Like sometimes the most interesting stories are just, you know, stories that take place in a small village, or stories that take place in the woods. Knocking on the door of a grumpy warrior. Welcome to the neighborhood. I baked cookies. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love the idea too that like he's just like, I'm not gonna socialize anymore. I moved out here to be on my own. And then he's like, ooh, cookies. Was having an issue with the first chapter bit so far. Oh no, have you, oh gosh, too many words tried to come out of my mouth at the same time. Have you figured it out, or are you still having trouble? Those words just all tried to come out at the same time. Oh my gosh, I need to figure out, I just feel like there's a key dialogue piece that's missing here that I need to figure out. Figured it out. Something about the central story question being presented in chapter 1, and right now it might not be. I mean, if you're on a first draft, it's okay if that's not happening. If you're trying to edit a later draft, then you might need to be more confident. Editing. I changed my first chapter to have more of the characters being nervous and failing to get her presentation in, but it doesn't really say, will she be able to save her friends in time? Well, so it depends too, because sometimes, so this is a little bit more of a complicated thing, but sometimes what the problem starts out, so sometimes your central problem isn't manifested early on. Sometimes your character thinks they have a different problem, such as, you know, doing my presentation or whatever, and that grows into the bigger problem or leads into the bigger problem, or the bigger problem comes and interrupts that problem. So if you feel like there's a problem, an effective problem in chapter 1, but it's not necessarily the main problem, that might be okay as long as you have a distinctive point at which, yeah, so if it leads into the bigger problem, you might be okay. As long as there's a distinctive moment where the character realizes this thing that I thought was important is less important than I thought. Obviously not necessarily in chapter 1. I think as long as there's a challenge, there's something that your character is trying to overcome in that first chapter, I think that's okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be the main problem. The presentation itself is about the bigger problem. I think that's fine. I think that's a perfect tie-in, because your character is anxious about something. The idea of the bigger problem is there, and then that way you have a foundation in it when it kind of smacks your character in the face later, which I assume happens. I think that might be okay, Janine. You would have to have your beta readers look at it and see if they think it carries through. But I think mechanically, I think that is enough of a tie-in. You're mentioning the main problem, even if the character isn't onto that problem yet, you've at least got that tie-in. I figured out my line of dialogue here. Might be getting some emotes soonish. That sounds awesome. I need to commission another set of emotes. I've been very lax about it. I might have to change something in 3 of my chapters. Oh no, Kiki, what do you have to change? Did you change a detail about your worlds? Shagraz, hello. Playtime, working during break time. I mean, oh, I thought I turned that off. I'm just finishing up, actually. Something is missing or I put it in the wrong chapter. I've done that before. I move things around a lot when I edit. All right, that is where we're gonna end that scene. So that was just an extra 254 words on the end. So that's gonna bring that scene up to 1,788, which is short, but it's fine. I think it's doing, I'm actually much happier with the second scene than with the first scene. So that brings our total for the entire stream to 4,750, which is pretty great. I'm really happy overall, I think, with this. It's gonna need so much editing. But it's okay. Get ended scene. Thank you, Shagraz. How are you, by the way, Shagraz? We're gonna wrap up in a minute, but let me know how you're doing. I apologize for what is going to seem like an abrupt ending to the stream, but I am quite hungry, so I'm going to go get myself some food. Let's see who is around doing some writing sprints so that we can hop over and get some more work done. Let me actually just switch my headphones back. What was I doing? Where am I? Who am I? All right. Let's see. Who's doing what? Supernatural is writing. Maybe we will head over there. Oh, Anne is writing as well. I don't think we get to raid her very often. I'm hungry too. I'm eating. What are you eating, Shagraz? I am going to go eat some leftover pasta and possibly a sandwich. Oh, thank you. I have a bunch of rotating wallpapers that I actually haven't updated in a long time. So some of them are, as you guys have probably witnessed, anime related. There's a bunch of Full Metal Alchemist. There's a bunch of Tsubasa and XXX Holic. And then there are things like this, which are more just sort of abstract sci-fi generic like things. This one always makes me think of Minecraft for some reason, but it's, I don't know, it's cool. It makes, I like desktop backgrounds that kind of make me think. Sini, I can't pronounce that Armenian dish. It sounds amazing. I'll have to look that up so that I can know what it is. There's also I don't know if I can find it cuz some of these are so buried. But there's also one that is the earth with the square taken out of it. It's kind of like the opposite of this one. Current desktops. Let's see if I can find it. I also have a bunch of like the Boba Fett, not Boba Fett, the Mandalorian art in here as well. It's this one. So I also have one that is like the Earth with the square taken out of it, which feels like the companion to this one. So there's like that one, and then there's this one. So Buried. Kind of love Lust. I know, she's great. The original, I really like the original Full Metal Alchemist as well as the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which more closely followed the manga. Both stories are really good, and I really liked Lust. I have a bunch of Lust wallpapers as well, because she kind of looks like one of my characters. I don't know if you guys can see like any of the really small images here, but here's one for you, Sugaraz. She is hot. I will agree about that. I also have a lot of Tsubasa stuff on here as well. And then just sort of some generic stuff. I also have I have this one I really like, which is all the doctors from Doctor Who up to Matt Smith as owls, which I love. Because like how she ended up, get it, hot. Oh my gosh, Sugaraz. Never change. Never change. Then I have just some weird random stuff like this, which is a bunch of Grim Reapers in a waiting room. Which relates to nothing else. Oh, and then Renji from Bleach, because, I mean, look at those abs. If we want to talk about hotties. Scythe is my favorite weapon. Nice, Sugaraz. It is pretty cool. So yeah, these are all the pictures that you might catch on my desktop, essentially. Random. All right, let us do, should we raid Anne? Let's do some shout outs. Oh, she's on BRB. No, come back. Let's do some shout outs of some other writers who are live at the moment. As well, just because I want to spread the love around. He kind of sucks. It's been so long since I watched Bleach, like, at all. I just remember thinking he was hot. We're just doing some shout outs for other writers you can follow who are currently streaming at the moment. I think we're going to try to raid Anne, although I'm hoping she'll come back. But check these people out. They're all awesome. Many of them hang out in our stream as well. I get why it says crushing writers, but it sounds vaguely threatening. Honestly, this is just copied and pasted literally word for word from my husband's thing, which is usually a game. afterwards. I should change it, but I'm lazy. I don't think you guys realize just like how lazy I am sometimes. But yeah, anything that's just a little bit weird is because I copied it from my husband and it doesn't really work, but I'm like, whatever, we're doing it anyway. So we're gonna head over to, I mean, she's on BRB right now, but hopefully she'll be back shortly. We're gonna head over to Anne. She hangs out in this stream a lot as well. It looks like she's trying to get to 200 followers, so if you're not following her already, make me choose my favorite line from today. Ooh, that's a hard one. So I actually, it's a couple of lines, but I actually think my favorite is this paragraph right here. So Aleith says, there always seems to be someone or something waiting to remind me of the circumstances of my birth. And then it says, the shadow darkness surged through him again, like seeking tendrils winding through his blood, but it did not manifest so strongly that it troubled him. It was merely a sensation, an awareness of the past and its resultant present, a reminder like the one his companion spoke of. Hey, Neo! We are about to raid. I'll do a quick shout out for her. This is who we're hopefully going to raid in a second here. And Anne Marie K. Author. She's awesome to hang out with. I don't like to raid when people are on BRB, so we'll try to wait for her to come back. But I do need to go get some food myself. So, Neo, how are you? Shagraz, I hope you liked that line. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with it. That was like what I was saying. There was an unexpected moment that just sort of happened. Going to sleep? Well, thank you so much for stopping by and saying, hey, Neo, I hope you're feeling better. Thank you for using that redeem, Shagraz. I like it. It makes me look back at what I'm doing and think about where it's really hitting. So I appreciate that. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait like one more minute and then and then if she's not back, we'll raid her anyway and say hey when she gets back. But I am getting super hungry. Feeling better, and I took 2 weeks off. Well, Neo, that's good, because you need to rest in order to get better. And if you just keep working through the pain, you're just gonna keep having more pain or sickness, whatever the case may be. She's back! Let's start that raid! Here are some raid calls, but please feel free to use any emotes that make you happy. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Shagraz, Neo, thank you for dropping in at the end. Shagraz, I know you were probably lurking for a while, but thank you for saying hey at the end. Neo, I hope you feel better. I hope you get some rest. I will be back tomorrow afternoon, 2:30 PST, probably closer to 3, but 2:30 PST with more of this novel right here. We're going to be moving on to hopefully some more tension and drama. I will also be back Thursday morning with more of this, and Friday morning for a bonus stream. We're going to be working on the Unapproved Hedgehog story some more because I had so much fun with it. We're going to be working on that again. So 3 more streams to go this week. I will see you every day. Tomorrow is my only afternoon stream though, so hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, take care. Keep being awesome. Shouldn't be hard for any of you because you're all awesome by default. I love you. I love hanging out with you. And thank you for letting me ramble at you today. It was the best. See you soon.